first of all, raise your hand if you've heard of MolochDAO. Awesome.
This is the scary part. When I saw what people were able to do with not just decentralized money, but decentralized governance.
Decision-making.
Decentralized decision-making with money. So, how do you get, the challenge is, how do you get a bunch of people to agree on which projects to fund?
You gotta vote.
But oftentimes these people vote and they vote against each other and there's infighting and there's proposal vetting and all that process. And so how long does it take for someone to get 20 grand in our economy if they have a great startup idea?
That could be forever, really. It depends on the idea.
But you're right, it could be forever, right? If you don't know how to pitch, maybe you have an accent and nobody's listening to, right?
Fair enough.
An accent can take, look, an accent will cost you a deal with the wrong person.
Yeah.
Right? We know that. We know that in recruiting, we know that in pitching. So, with a decentralized autonomous organization, how do we, again, climate change, how do we take money, I'm going to zoom way out, so Adam Smith said that capital, money, is a wagon way through the air, right? That's the purpose of money. If you're keeping it in your pocket, it's dead.
That's right.
When capital is used, it's a wagon way through the air to transform an economy. The challenge is allocating and deploying capital usefully is a hard problem to solve.
This has been pretty much the epitome of government for the past 2,000 years.
But it's the epitome of humanity, right?
Decision making at a large scale.
If we know at 5,000 years everyone has the same problem, it's not government, it's us. It's us as humanity not being able to figure out ourselves.
That's right.
As amazing as we are. So, climate change, big issues that we need to find funding for, startups that we want to fund. How do we get them funded? Like you said, it could take them 3 months, they could never get the funding. And what happens, how many startups today you think will just never get the funding they need even though they have a great idea?
99%.
Wow. Even if it was 50%, it's an economic tragedy, right?
Well, some startups we just never hear it because they die so early.
It's an economic tragedy. The fact that we can't have capital fly through the air, right? Adam Smith. So, what if you could create a decentralized, with no leader or very few leaders, organization that speeds up investment times from 90 days to 72 hours?
Instant almost.
It might as well be instant.
Okay, I mean at that point, I think you're just putting the time frame in just so you can give people enough time to respond.
That's what a decentralized or autonomous organization, or DAO, is. The most successful decentralized autonomous organization experiment to date is called MolochDAO. They call him Moloch because Moloch is the god of coordination failure.
All right.
it's like a biblical term, I think. It's you have this large monster, then the right arm doesn't know what the left arm is doing, but it has all of these resources, right? And they called it Moloch, right? It's like this monster. It's scary, actually. They even call, I think they call it like eater of children. But it's the idea that we have all of these resources, yet we can't feed someone. It's almost like it's the tragedy of coordination challenges, right? How do we solve it? MolochDAO. So Ethereum, which is the #2 cryptocurrency in the world, wanted to go from 1.0 to 2.0. I'm not going to go into details of what that means, but imagine they needed a bunch of money to spend a bunch of money on developers so that those developers could use that money as food, write code, and create a new platform for the world to do nature 3.0, currency 3.0,
right.
Governance 3.0, blah, blah, blah. But there's a gap between 1.0 and 2.0, and that gap is represented by time and money. Right? Capital is a wagon way through the air, but that wagon stops, right? Because of coordination challenges. Getting this person to review the document, and this person to agree, and this person doesn't like it.
This is me on stage at ETH Denver voting in Cassandra. Cassandra was the first person summoned into the MolochDAO. She also used to run the Ethereum Community Fund. I sort of see Moloch as like the spiritual successor to the Ethereum Community Fund. Cassandra and I had a number of conversations about the governance issues with the ECF that ultimately led to its untimely demise. There were many organizations there was a board structure, all of the members from Kyber to Polkadot to Cosmos to Maker, many of them were arguing that they wanted some special privileges that would advantage them over new members and special governance rights. And that stuff, as well as just the fundamental incentive misalignment, led to its failure. And Moloch learned from those lessons. And so when I started summoning people into Moloch, one by one, each of these people put in some of their personal funds into the DAO. And it is through their sacrifice that we were able to create this grassroots effort and take the risk and create the conditions for Vitalik and Joe Lubin and others to join by demonstrating that we, as a community, could make useful grants. So you can see that the members here come from sort of all avenues of the Ethereum community. It's developers, it's executives, it's investors, it's marketers, summonons. And as a result of our hard work and our personal sacrifice, we were able to compel Joe and Vitalik and the EF and Consensus to all put in 1,000 Ether. And that brought us to 1.5 million Ether at the time. It's a little less now, but yep. I thought that was really cool because it provided validation for DAOs in general. It demonstrated that the EF was willing to decentralize its fund management and allow community members to participate. And it also showed a willingness to cooperate between the Ethereum Foundation and Consensus, which hadn't really been the case in the years before.
What Moloch did is it took Vitalik Buterin, who is the head of Ethereum, he's the inventor of Ethereum. Mm-hmm. It took Consensus, which is I think the most famous company for building projects on top of Ethereum, mm-hmm. and it took the Ethereum Foundation. And each of them put in, I think, 1,000 Ethereum, 1,000 ETH. And they attracted a bunch of other people to put their money in too. So now there is a decentralized, well, not decentralized yet, but slowly decentralized autonomous organization where people can pitch projects and get funding, 20 to 60 grand in maybe 72 hours or less. That's what we have today. Why'd they create it? Because Ethereum itself was failing at funding the projects. They're like, we're stuck at 1.0. Why? Because these guys can't agree. Well, how do we get them on the same board? Well, we create a decentralized autonomous organization, and we allow them to have their money there on one condition only. You can pull your money whenever you want. You can pull your money
How does that work?
whenever you want.
How does
if
that
you
work?
don't like the way the decentralized autonomous organization is making its decisions,
You pull out funding.
screw your organization. I'm going to start my own.
Okay.
And it keeps everyone honest.
Huh.
Now, there are other economic incentives, but they built it simply so to reduce the attack surface for security reasons. But imagine an organization figured out how to provide capital funding in the tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands with essentially very few leaders.
But how can an organization not fail if it has such a innate
And-
pitfall about it?
And because you talk about being able to remove their money.
Remove capital.
It's called a rage quit.
Okay.
You see, what the weird thing about this is that rage quit as a mechanism for Moloch, it can be a feature or a bug. You ever hear that phrase? Mm-hmm. Is it a feature or a bug? Does it hurt or help the product? It turns out the ability to pull out your money is the reason you keep it there. Right? How do you get everyone to keep their money in?
I was this close to rage quitting Moloch because of the Yang DAO. I voted against it, but that's one of the cool things about Moloch, that if you don't like the way something is going, you can just like grab whatever's left of your money and split.
So you can see at the top, there are 4 proposals for Yang DAO, and that was the most contentious of our proposals so far. The Yang DAO is also a clone of Moloch, which is being used in the context of funding Andrew Yang's bid for candidacy, or for the presidential nomination. And
instead of talking about automation in our future, including the fact that we automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs, hundreds of thousands right here in Michigan, we're up here with makeup on our faces and our rehearsed attack lines, playing roles in this reality TV show. It's one reason why we elected a reality TV star as our president. We need to be laser focused on solving the real challenges of today.
And I thought that being able to demonstrate use cases in mainstream context could be really important. And on the off chance this becomes a sweeping, success and ends up on CNN, it could, be a powerful boost for Ethereum's narrative.